The reason you feel constantly drained isn't because you lack time. It's because you're treating energy like a battery, not a resource you can actively grow. We're about to show you the counterintuitive performance model that instantly rebalances your focus, your body, and your emotions. So over the next few minutes, we're going to completely dismantle the myth of burnout and hand you a precise, science-backed system for rebuilding your capacity from the ground up.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We've laid this out as a full masterclass, broken down into 6 key parts. And this isn't just a random list of tips, it's a complete journey. We'll kick things off with the core paradox that's trapping you. Then we'll get into the science of why you're so exhausted. After that, we'll build out the entire framework for growing your energy, explain the biology that makes it all click, and then, and this is the best part, give you a 3-step protocol you can literally start today. We'll wrap it all up with the one single principle that will change how you think about success forever.
All right, let's jump right into section 1, the energy paradox. You see, the real heart of the problem is that most of us are running on a totally broken mental model when it comes to our personal energy. We've been sold this idea that success is a war of attrition, that you just have to grind harder and longer than everyone else. But what if I told you this isn't about finding more hours in the day? It's about a complete and total mind shift in how you view your body's most critical resource.
Now this quote, right here, this is everything. This one idea is pretty much the root cause of all modern burnout. Think about it. We wake up and we just assume we've got a full battery, 100%. And every little thing we do, every meeting, every decision, every email, it just drains it down. 90%, 70, 40. By the time dinner rolls around, we're running on fumes, hoping that a few hours of sleep will magically fix it all. But it never really does it? That feeling of waking up tired, that is a direct result of this flawed scarcity thinking. It is a game you are set up to lose.
And this slide right here perfectly illustrates the shift we have to make. On the left, you've got the old, broken model. Energy is just a finite battery that drains. But look to the right. This is the new model, the one that top performers live by. Energy is a resource you can actively grow and expand. The best analogy is a muscle. How do you make a muscle stronger? You don't avoid using it, you stress it out on purpose. That stress creates tiny tears, and it's during the recovery, the rest, that the muscle rebuilds itself stronger than it was before. Well, your energy works the exact same way. The cycle is stress, then recovery. That is how you build capacity.
So that brings us to section 2. Now that we understand the bad mental model, let's put a real scientific name to that feeling of exhaustion that you just can't seem to shake. Because I want you to know this is not just in your head, and it's definitely not a personal failure. It is a measurable physiological state. It's a very real, invisible force that's systematically draining your life.
And that name is systemic depletion. This is such a critical definition. It's a state of chronic exhaustion, and the main bad guy here is elevated cortisol. That's your body's #1 stress hormone. When you are constantly pushing without real recovery, your body gets stuck in this high-alert fight-or-flight mode. Cortisol just floods your system, which makes it almost impossible to truly rest and recharge. This isn't just about feeling tired. This is a biological breakdown. It's that awful feeling of being wired and tired at the same time, and it's a huge warning sign from your body that you're redlining the engine.
And this is why it feels so completely overwhelming. See, systemic depletion kicks off what we call an exhaustion cascade. It's never just one thing, right? It usually starts with the physical. You're getting poor sleep, you feel this deep fatigue where you wake up and feel like you haven't slept a wink. Then that spills over into your emotional life. Suddenly you're irritable, anxious, snapping at people over tiny things. From there, it attacks your mind. You get that persistent brain fog, that crippling decision fatigue, where choosing what to have for lunch feels like a monumental task. And finally, it hits your spiritual dimension, leaving you feeling totally disconnected, disengaged, just without any sense of purpose. It's a total system collapse.
So, how in the world do we fight back? This brings us to section 3, which is the absolute core of this entire system, the 4 dimensions of energy. This is the complete framework for not just managing your energy, but for actually building your capacity for high performance. So if depletion is the system collapse, think of this as the blueprint for a total system rebuild.
Okay, but before we break down the 4 dimensions, we have to talk about the engine that powers all of them. And that engine is called oscillation. This is simply the strategic, intentional cycling between spending energy and renewing it. Now, the key word here is active renewal. Renewal isn't just zoning out in front of the TV or mindlessly scrolling through your phone. That's just distraction. Real renewal is an active, deliberate process. It's a high-priority activity that directly fuels your ability to perform. Oscillation is the skill of pushing yourself and then pulling back to recover all day long.
All right, first up, the foundation of everything, physical energy. I want you to think of this as the quantity of your energy. It's the raw fuel you have in the tank. This is the absolute base of the pyramid. If your physical energy is shot, nothing else is going to work. And it's regulated by three really simple things: the quality of your sleep, the nutrition you're putting in your body, I'm talking whole foods, not sugary junk, and your level of physical fitness, which can be as simple as just moving your body throughout the day. Next, we've got emotional energy. Now, if physical energy is the quantity, emotional energy is the quality. This is all about your capacity to manage your emotions, especially when you're under pressure. It's about intentionally generating positive feelings like gratitude or patience or confidence. See, high-quality emotional energy is what keeps you resilient. It's the difference between getting a stressful email and reacting with anger versus seeing it as a puzzle to solve. One drains you, the other actually energizes you.
The third dimension is mental energy. In one word, focus. This is your ability to put your attention exactly where you want it, for as long as you want it without getting distracted. And let's be honest, in today's world, that is a flat-out superpower. But here's the secret. Focus is a resource that runs out fast. Every time you switch tasks, you leave a little piece of your attention behind. It's a thing called attention residue. So the way you renew your mental energy isn't by pushing harder, it's by being disciplined about single tasking and taking those structured micro breaks we're going to talk about.
And finally, we have spiritual energy. This is the force behind all the other types of energy. It's your why. This dimension is fueled by having a really clear connection to your deepest values and your sense of purpose. It's what gives you the grit to keep going when things get tough. When what you're doing is aligned with what you truly care about, whether that's your family, your career, your community, you tap into this incredibly powerful, almost endless well of energy. It's the ultimate driver of long-term resilience and fulfillment.
So we have the 4 dimensions, but why is this framework so powerful? Let's move into section 4. This is where we get to peek behind the curtain and look at the biological mechanisms, the literal body hacks that make this system work with your natural design, not against it. Think of this as the missing user manual for your own biology. The single most important number to remember here is 90. Your body and your brain operate on these natural cycles of energy and alertness called Ultradian Rhythms. And it turns out, for about 90 minutes, your brain can maintain a super high level of focus. After that, it needs a break. It has to clear out metabolic waste and just reset. If you ignore that rhythm and try to power through for hours, your body forces you to take a break. That's when you hit that wall, you get the brain fog, and you suddenly feel desperate for caffeine. Working in 90-minute sprints is how you align your work with your biology.
And this slide right here perfectly explains the second hack. Your body basically has 2 competing operating systems. You've got the sympathetic system, which is your gas pedal, and the parasympathetic, which is your brake. When you're stressed, that gas pedal is floored. That's fight or flight. That's where all that cortisol comes from. But these renewal activities we're talking about, they're a way for you to manually hit the brake. Taking a few deep breaths, going for a quick walk, these things are a biological override switch. They activate your parasympathetic system, they lower your cortisol, and they shift you into recovery mode. This is literally how you hack your way out of burnout.
Okay, this is all fantastic in theory, but let's be real, knowledge without action is useless. How do you actually put this into practice? That brings us to section 5, the 3-step protocol. We are officially moving from theory to a clear, non-negotiable action plan that you can start using the second this is over.
Here they are, the 3 highest leverage steps that will create an immediate, noticeable change in your energy. We start with a physical reset to get in sync with your body's rhythm. Then we lock in the foundation with a sleep anchor. And finally, we bake the whole system into your schedule with a focus and renewal swap. Let's break each one down.
Step 1 is the 5-minute physical reset. And I want to be clear, this is non-negotiable. After every 90-minute block of focused work, you must take a 5-minute renewal break. And the crucial rule here is that it has to be a non-screen break. Get up, stretch, walk around the room, get a glass of water, look out a window, just do something physical. This simple little habit resets your ultradian rhythm, lets your brain recover, and saves that precious mental energy for your next sprint.
Step 2 is the sleep anchor. Here's a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, commit to a fixed bedtime and a fixed wake-up time. Yes, even on the weekend. Your body absolutely thrives on routine. And at the same time, you have to implement a digital quarantine. That means no screens, no phone, no TV, nothing, for at least 30 minutes before bed. The blue light from those screens actively stops your body from producing melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. You have to remember, sleep is not a luxury. It is the single greatest factor that determines your energy for the entire next day.
And finally, step 3 is the focus/renewal swap. I want you to literally open up your calendar and look at your week. For every single block of deep, focused work that you have scheduled, I want you to schedule a corresponding renewal block right after it. It can be 15 minutes for a walk, 10 minutes just listen to music, whatever. By putting renewal on your calendar, you make it official. You start treating your recovery with the same seriousness as your work. And that, right there, is the secret to sustained high performance.
And that brings us to our final section, and honestly, the single most important lesson in this entire explainer. If you only remember one thing from our time together, please let it be this. We need to completely rewire our definition of what it means to be successful and productive, and basically turn 100 years of work culture on its head.
Let that one sink in for a second. High performance is the product of disciplined recovery, not maximum effort. The absolute top performers in any field, elite athletes, world-class artists, brilliant scientists, they are not the ones who grind the longest hours. They are the ones who have mastered recovery. They understand that real growth happens during the recovery, not during the work itself. So stop trying to manage your minutes and start managing your energy.
So, let's wrap this up. What have we learned? We've learned that energy management is the real solution to chronic fatigue and burnout. And why this matters so much is that it gives you a systematic way to actively grow your capacity, not just physically, but across all 4 dimensions of your life. By using that oscillation framework and working with your body's natural 90-minute ultradian rhythms, you finally have the tools to optimize your focus and manage your stress hormones. And the big takeaway is this: real productivity isn't about doing more. It's about mastering the systems that make focus effortless. So I'll leave you with a direct question. What renewal ritual will you practice every 90 minutes tomorrow? Pick one, commit to it, and start rebuilding your energy from the ground up.